firstly talk about Woolworths as a company. We've got multiple lines of businesses. We're the largest supermarket in Australia. What we also have is we've got a petrol business. We also have a large liquor business. And we've got general merchandise in big, but we also have a large section of master stores, which is the hardware stores. And where I sit within the organization is the financial services arm of the business. I look after payments across the group. So from a group perspective, we do about $54 billion worth of sales. All up, the company does about 1 billion transactions, probably, and we're talking EFT transactions here, guys, but probably not as much as India does, but albeit sizable from an Australian market. It's okay. I think there's some issues with the. That's all right. They're not in order, but I can talk to it. Now, in the context of payments, I just wanted to set the ground here about what are we talking about from a payments perspective. And I guess most of you will know this, but I'd still go through this, that a merchant comes into our store, pays $100 for the goods that they want. The transaction goes to the acquirer, and the acquirer acquires that transaction, which is then passed on to the scheme, or Visa, MasterCard, Amex in this case, and the transaction then gets approved by the issuing bank. Say, for example, I have an ANZ card. That transaction will end up with the issuer, which is ANZ. But as you can see in the ecosystem, the merchant is paying, the customer is paying $100. The acquirer takes a clip of 10 cents. The scheme takes a clip of 10 cents. The issuing bank takes a clip of $1. What ends up in the merchant's bank account is $98.80. So at the bottom where I say MSF equals interchange plus scheme fees plus processing fees, that's what that ecosystem does. But we are different. We don't do that because we're the largest supermarket in the country. What we've done is we've skipped the whole bit about scheme. And how did we do that? We built our own payment switch that processes 1 billion transactions per annum. And you can clearly see the cost savings there, right? So we're not giving 10 cents clip to the scheme. The merchant now gets $99 per transaction as opposed to getting $98.80 in the previous slide. So what that equates to on an annual savings basis is it equates to $77 million of merchant service fees. So that's what we're talking about here. So I thought I'd just lay the land about what payments is. And we'll be having a bit of trouble here. But anyway, so with that, what happened was we had, this is not going well at all. So what we had was, I'm going to leave it like this. It's okay. I'm going to leave it like this and talk to it for the guys who can't see at the back. So the focus, or what we call as old data-related requirements, the focus was that we met our obligations operationally. So what did we do operationally? We had to get a whole ton of money from the banks that they had to pay us. So we met our operational obligations. We put a reconciling system in place. So we matched, the dollars the transactions that we sent them versus what they told us. We met that obligation. Likewise, we met our reporting obligations. So we had to do a ton of financial reporting to meet our reporting obligation. We did that. Fantastic. Tick in the box. Then we had a regulatory obligation where we had to report the number of credit transactions, debit transactions, FPOS transactions to the Reserve Bank of Australia and to APCA. We did that, fantastic. So we put a whole load of back office systems in place to make all this happen. And the bit that you can't see was the strategic intent. There's a one-liner in there that says, send data to data warehouse. That was a strategic intent, and that's pretty poor, right? So, so what did we build? Again, we built an operational system. We built a financial system, which was mainly a reporting system, and a regulatory system. Again, a reporting system. But really, did we do anything with our data? Not really. So what we did was we had an exercise with our executives, and we said, what is missing out of all of this? And clearly what came out was the customer was missing out of all of this. This is not working, guys, that's all right. But the customer was missing out of all of this. So when we did that exercise, we got a whole bunch of words called convenience, called personalize it for the customer, and so on and so forth. So based on that, we built our strategy of a few things. The first thing was we said, we want to know our customer. And how do we know our customer? And we said we want to know our customer by the channels that they shop with us. So channels being in-store. Are they using a PIN pad to make the transaction? Yes. Are they shopping online? Of course, they're shopping online. Are they using a mobile device to shop? Or are they using in-context purchasing, which is Facebook and Twitter? By the way, we haven't done that yet, but that's on the plan. So those are the channels that we talked about. So we captured all the data that we could from a channel perspective. And then we said, how do we know what our customer is paying? What payment instrument are they paying with? Are they paying with Apple Pay? Are they paying with Android Pay? Are they paying with Samsung Pay? So we wanted to capture a lot of that information as well, which is all related to the customer, which we didn't have before. And alongside that, we said we also want to capture the card type. So we want to capture, is it an ANZ Visa card that the customer is paying with? Or is it an ANZ MasterCard that the customer is paying with? Or is it an FPOS card? So we captured that bit and we called it Know Your Customer. And the next step was we said, now that we know our customer, we want to keep our customer. And how do we go about keeping our customers? So the first thing that came to mind was, shouldn't we be doing rewards for our customers? So we gave birth to a rewards program. Whilst we did a rewards program for the supermarkets business, the liquor guys put their hand up and said, guys, we want a rewards card too, because Australia is a beer drinking country. We love our alcohol, right? So we gave birth to another rewards program for the liquor division. And then the petrol guys said, oh, I think we can do something genius about this, that for a customer that buys more than $30 worth of groceries, we'll give them 4 cents off if they visit our petrol shop. By the way, we've got about 500 petrol stores. So you see the siloed approach that each division is talking about. They want to give value back to the customer. They understand that customer is king, but how are they going about doing it? And each of these business units go, but the data that we have is so large, we can't go and aggregate all of this data at a company level, and we're talking petabytes of data here, right? So we did it all in silos. It worked. More customers so we got a conversion, right? We could clearly see that customers who shopped more than $30 in their basket went and filled up fuel. Fantastic, tick in the box. And likewise, the rewards program for the liquor guys also seemed to work. But the liquor guys took it one step ahead. They said, we want to personalize this, guys. So when I go into a liquor store, for example, I love my scotch, so I buy a bottle of scotch. So what they did was they saw my pattern, and the pattern that they saw was I was buying liquor. Probably my average spend would have been anywhere between $40 and $60. They said, right, we understand this guy, he loves his scotch. His average spend is between $40 and $60. Let's upsell to me. So they send me an email or an SMS, whatever my preferred mode is, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. And they say, here's a bottle of Lefroy or a bottle of Amrut, which usually retails for about $79. Now they've said, here's a discount on it for $69. They know my limit is 60. I don't spend over that. But they've upsold me for 69. I'm going, this is a fantastic bottle of scotch. I want to have this. So that's where the personalization aspect comes in. And we saw sales growth in the segments that we didn't believe were going to grow. Then we also said, right, we're targeting a high net worth customer here. What are we doing for the masses? So the merchandise business went over and said, We want to give 0% interest free for people who walk into the merchandise business and buy clothes. And the executive said, what do you mean by 0%? We are not a financial services company. How do we provide all of this? And that apart, we solved all that from a business perspective. But what did the customer get in the end? Customer walks in, and the typical customer that we see in that segment is a budget customer typically only spends about $300 every quarter. We saw that spend go up because we were giving interest-free in that category, which was fabulous. So, what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm giving you use cases of things that have worked for us, and the things that haven't worked is all the silo bits that we keep going on. Now, on a convenience perspective, we saw a pattern in our online shopping piece from a convenience perspective. And the pattern was that the online shoppers would drop off as soon as they went to the checkout because we were charging them $15 for delivery fees. And they said, well, and we saw a loss of sales because of that. So we said, let's do click and collect, which is you place your order online and you choose the nearest store that you drive by every day, and your order will be picked and packed and put in bags. If you've ordered an ice cream or a frozen good, we will pack it in a refrigerated mini containers for you. So we did all of that. Click and collect is a huge success now. It's delivered $100 million of sales in the last year. What we also found was from a rewards perspective, excuse me, from a rewards perspective, closed loop gift cards, we saw people were gifting out closed loop gift cards. And we made that quite easy, frictionless for the customer to pick up a gift card either from a J-hook or electronically distribute that in a fashion that they like, either on a mobile or via an email. And that business today, that is stickiness, right? So a closed loop gift card means that a customer comes back into your store to purchase the goods they want. So that business now is a $700 million business just by doing that piece. And some of these bits, so I know they're a little bit fragmented, but they kind of work in a way that is for the customer, for the benefit of the customer. The other thing that we kind of saw was, it doesn't work, it's all right. There you go. That's how it was meant to work. Anyway, it was a lady's golden touch, thank you. So what we also did was, I'm talking about the free delivery piece over there in the convenience section. So what we also did was, we said we deliver free for everyone who shops between $100 and $200. And that kind of initially didn't go quite well because we were looking for the high spend category. But we've learned from that, we've tailored our message now, and that seems to work now. What we also did, again, for the budget customers, we said we'll lay buy. So you buy merchandise worth of $300, and you can pay in installments. So we said you lay buy at 0% again. So that kind of works for us from a convenience perspective. The last part over there was behavioral analysis, where now we slowly started to get into our data science kind of thing, which I don't think we're mature, but we're starting to make some progress there. Analytics, understanding the Google Analytics was a big part of that equation. So we kind of got data from not all the websites, but we got data from Woolworths Online, which is our largest, which does about, I don't know, $10 million worth of sales maybe. And what they also wanted to understand was the device ID side of things. So I know device ID is used for, from a security perspective, to authenticate your phone. But what we also did was we wanted to understand the number of times a customer goes in, opens up our app, and is actually purchasing on our app or not, and what the dropouts there are. So device ID, we used it slightly differently to understand what the dropout rates are and why. we link that back to who is our customer. Is our customer the budget customer, and is that why they're dropping off because we're charging them $15 for delivery? Or is our customer a high net customer, or is our customer just shopping? So we kind of got some of those trends using that mechanism. The other part of our business that we have is we have our own credit card business, so we issue cards as well, and we promote that shamelessly. So it's a Visa product. And I think the beauty about that is we're starting to do a little, some good work there is we understand, because it's our card, we understand what the customer spends not just in our store, but we understand what they spend elsewhere. So if they're buying from our competitor, Kmart, for example, and they're buying $600 worth of goods, there's an opportunity. We can do something about it and bring them to Big W as opposed to going to Kmart. So those are the kind of things that we're starting to look at. So the last one that we do is we now started to talk about grow your customer. And by this, I mean predictive analysis, and one thing that we're talking there is macroeconomics. What we don't understand today is if the coal industry in Australia goes down, which it is going down, how does it affect retail? How does it affect sales in our stores? It is like a finger in the air type thing. Oh, maybe, the trend is downwards 6%, but we don't know what it's going to do to our business. Maybe it's going to wipe out $100 million over the year and things like that. We want to put that back, and we haven't done that, but that's the thinking. We want to put that back into the system and try to understand the macroeconomics of how market shifts can affect our business or can grow our business. The other thing in that segment there is about government and government changes. So one of the things the government talks about is, by the way, they give families baby bonuses up to $3,000 if you deliver a baby, right? How fantastic is that? But anyway, so we want to understand, if they stop the baby bonus of $3,000, are we going to lose sales in baby formula? Are we going to lose sales in nappies? And what other products are we going to lose sales in? So we want to get some of those as well. We haven't done that yet, but that's on the roadmap. The other thing from a regulatory perspective that is happening in Australia is, and it has happened in the UK, and that's probably why it's come to Australia, is the credit card average interchange, the RBA is trying to put a cap on it. The cap is 80 basis points, and the median is 50 basis points, as opposed to what they charge today is anywhere between 1.2% to 3%. In the US, it's more than 3%. So because of that, what's going to happen, if I have an Amex card, the loyalty or the rewards will go away. Amex cannot fund it anymore because the RBI is saying you lower your rate. And if they can't fund it, where's that customer going? How do you then know that I've lost a high net customer? Has that customer moved to a Visa product? And if the customer has moved to a Visa product, how do I track that customer? I'm losing sight of the customer suddenly. So it's all panic for everyone, right? But we want to understand where that shift is going to go, what is going to happen in that area. The next thing, I'm not a subject matter expert about machine learning, but I can talk to the themes that we're talking about. One of the things is we have 900 supermarkets, and each supermarket staffs anywhere between 80 and 100 staff on a weekly basis. And what we don't know is if the coal industry goes down for the next 3 months in a regional area in Australia, do we need that 100 staff? Can we not, do our workforce planning better? We are not there yet. We don't understand those dynamics. So we want to be able to do that predictive analysis to understand those dynamics of how we can shape our business to serve the customer better. Fraud's another area which is interesting, that yes, we've got CyberSource as a fraud management tool, utility that manages all of that, but is not linked to our campaign. So if we run a campaign for a credit card, for example, the frauds go through the roof. The guys there in that department are understaffed. They don't know what to do. So we've got all of these problems, and we're trying to bring them all together. And then again, personalization is a big one. Like I talked about fragmented personalization that we do today. We want to bring it together for all the brands, do it in a bit more concerted effort. Now, IoT, we made an announcement last week that we've collaborated with, excuse me, the Samsung fridges to provide an app in Samsung so you can do shopping when you're stood in the kitchen, I suppose. And so now this again, the cost of the fridge is $7,000 or 3.5 lakhs Indian rupees, right? How many people can afford a fridge like that? And then we start to think about, but what we've got there is we've got our high net customer, and we've tied up with Samsung, so we know who the customer that we're targeting. The cool things about it is it's got cameras inside, and because it's got cameras inside, it can tell you whether you're out of milk, you're out of bread. The app that we build there, based on that technology over there, we can build a shopping list automatically, send it to your mobile phone. All you have to do, like Tinder, swipe right or swipe left if you want to buy. That's what we're talking about. How cool is that, right? So these are the things we're trying to get into. Again, location-based services is a pretty interesting one. And the things that we're trying to do there are, so I know my customer shops, say for example, he's got an online account, he shops online. He's also got, he also goes into store. We can see the pattern that he goes into store. In location-based services, the things we're trying to do is we understand that the customer is bootstrapped for time. He or she shops on a mobile device. So the next time when they walk past a store or the near proximity to a store, we build a shopping list for them. Again, Tinder right or left, click and collect in store, guys. You run out of milk, you run out of sugar, go click and collect in store. So we're trying to bring some of those technologies together as well. And the last one there is the smartwatch. So there's an upward trend in Australia for people to buy smartwatches, and we're trying, and we've got an insurance arm. So we want to link that data to the life insurance business that we have to say that if you have a smartphone, we'll give you 20% off your next insurance policy. And no one does that, so we said, yeah, that's a cool thing to do. We have our data, let's do it. Growth opportunities, this again, I mean, you can think till the cows come home, but some of the things that we're thinking about there is new business opportunities. So they could be things like, so I'll talk about a new product to begin with. So the new product that we said was, we found out that Chinese students and Chinese tourists spend about $1 billion in terms of spend when they come to Australia on an annual basis. But we don't know how much we get, and we don't get much of that market share. But we said, let's try and analyze it. And this is only about, this is talking to some of the Chinese people. What came out quite clearly is apparently they carry two cards. One, a scheme card, which is a Visa or MasterCard. And the other is a China Union Pay card, or UPI as they call it. So when they come to our stores, we don't accept UPI. We accept only Visa or MasterCard. They tap a Visa or MasterCard. But the issue is, and we didn't know this, right? We only found out like a couple of months ago, that the conversion, they're very price conscious. If you know the Chinese, you know they're very price conscious. They see that when they tap their Visa card, the money is held in renminbi. The conversion happens from renminbi to US dollars to Aussie dollars. They're losing a lot of money when they transact. So they don't transact in our stores. But we know that they have an alternate card in their pocket, which is a UPI card. We should accept it, which is probably what we're trying to do now. So that's new product opportunity. New business opportunity, I think, like you can think, you can think multiple opportunities here because of the lines of businesses we have, and we can do multiple things there. The other thing there is always a sense of delivering value back to the customer, be it either in terms of rewards. So we pump money back into a rewards program to say, if you shop for $100, we'll give you $10 worth of rewards. We want to optimize that given, and how do we do it? We want to build a program. So the machine learning piece was a classic one where we said, if we optimize our workforce, our cost of doing business is going down from a bottom line perspective. We can invest that money back into the customer. That's the whole idea of it. Now, and the reason I'm telling you all of this is, um, and we saw in the last presentation about some of the cool stuff there, and what it correlates back to is the executives today, the CEOs today are pretty smart. What they're looking for are opportunities like this and scientists like you guys to come and make a difference. They have the business problem and they've had it for multiple years. They're looking for opportunities, and I think this is a fantastic summit in my mind. I'm learning lots. I've taken a few pictures already. I think my battery's dying already. But it's a fabulous opportunity to learn. What I've done here is just present, just the tip of the iceberg. I'm here to learn, guys. Thank you so much.